I'm Keith Olbermann, and this is The Resistance. It is impossible to watch the drip, drip, drip of Robert Mueller's Russia investigation, the hourly drip, 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 the weekly drip, 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 the monthly drip, drip, drip. It is impossible to read the New York Times report that some White House officials are privately afraid that other White House officials may be wearing wires to surreptitiously record conversations for Mr. Mueller. It is impossible to review the reporting of the last week and the reporting of as long ago as last January and see how nearly perfectly that reporting aligns. It is impossible to do all that and to not conclude that the leaking ceiling will soon or late cave in on Donald Trump. And in large part, it will do so because of Facebook. First, Facebook confirmed it had sold more than $100,000 worth of divisive advertisements, often filled with hate speech, to a Russian company linked to the Kremlin during the election. Then the Wall Street Journal reported that Facebook had given Mueller's team the ads, the details about who bought them, and the methods used to get them in front of specific Facebook users, the so-called targeting. Then CNN reported Facebook had not done this voluntarily, that Mueller had gotten a judge to issue a warrant, meaning Mueller convinced a judge not merely that the Facebook ads included a crime or crimes, but he had to have convinced that judge that evidence supporting prosecution of the alleged perpetrators could still possibly be found in Facebook's files. It would be the computer equivalent of a paper trail. It is a federal crime for foreign individuals or governments to contribute to an American election campaign, whether by money or other means. It is a federal crime for an American election campaign to knowingly accept such foreign contributions. It is a federal crime for Americans to participate in that process. It is what we have colloquially called collusion with Russia. As the former federal prosecutor Renato Mariotti noted on Saturday, quoting him, "It is a crime to know that a crime is taking place and to help it succeed. That's aiding and abetting. If any Trump associate knew about the foreign contributions that Mueller's search warrant focused on and helped that effort in a tangible way, they could be charged. In addition, anyone who agreed to be part of this effort in any way could be charged with criminal conspiracy. They wouldn't need to be involved in the whole operation or know everyone involved." This may seem complex and new to you, but this part of the drip has been falling steadily since January 12th. That is when Paul Wood, world affairs correspondent for the BBC, wrote, and I quoted him here, "Last April 2016, the CIA director was shown intelligence that worried him. It was, allegedly, a tape recording of a conversation about money from the Kremlin going into the U.S. presidential campaign." As Wood also noted, in October 2016, the Department of Justice was thus able to get a warrant from a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act court, a FISA court. They wanted permission to intercept the electronic records from 2 Russian banks. Ultimately, the investigation is looking for transfers of money from Russia to the United States, each one, if proved, a felony offense. A lawyer outside the Department of Justice, but familiar with the case, told me that 3 of Mr. Trump's associates were the subject of the inquiry. Quote, "But it's clear this is about Trump," he said. That's Kremlin money, reportedly going into the U.S. presidential campaign no later than April 2016, and an inquiry touching 3 Trump associates, per the reporting of the BBC's Paul Wood on January 12th of this year. On March 30th of this year, Paul Wood was back with more. "This is a 3-headed operation," said one former Obama administration official, setting out the case based on the intelligence. "Firstly, hackers steal damaging emails from senior Democrats. Secondly, the stories based on this hacked information appear on Twitter and Facebook, posted by thousands of automated bots, then on Russia's English language outlets, RT and Sputnik, then right-wing U.S., quote, news sites such as InfoWars and Breitbart, then Fox and the mainstream media. Thirdly, Russia downloads the online voter rolls." The voter rolls? Oh, yes. Remember more than a year ago when somebody hacked into and scanned the voter registration computers in Arizona and Illinois? Remember ABC News reporting there were attempted voter roll scanning hacks in 20 different U.S. states. Remember when the Director of National Intelligence said in a joint statement with the Department of Homeland Security that the hacking was done mostly from, quote, servers operated by a Russian company? Russian servers, which recorded names, party affiliations, emails of voters. The voter rolls are said to fit into this because of micro-targeting. Using email, Facebook, and Twitter, political advertising can be tailored very precisely. Individual messaging for individual voters. Paul Wood's reporting and sources were prophetic. That is what the developments of the last week suggest the Russian end of this perversion of our democracy must be. But is there an American end? Is there anybody close to Trump, connected to Trump, involved in the Trump campaign, who would have been involved here, in this country, in micro-targeting? Forbes magazine, December 20th, 2016, the beaming face of Jared Kushner. This guy got Trump elected. I called somebody who works for one of the technology companies that I work with, and I had them give me a tutorial on how to use Facebook micro-targeting, Kushner says. By June, the GOP nomination secured, Kushner took over all data-driven efforts. Within 3 weeks, in a nondescript building outside San Antonio, he had built what would become a 100-person data hub designed to unify fundraising, messaging, and targeting. The president's son-in-law, in charge of the Trump campaign digital campaign and its targeting and its micro-targeting. And there's one other shoe also to drop. Again, quoting Jared Kushner, we brought in Cambridge Analytica. I called some of my friends from Silicon Valley who were some of the best digital marketers in the world. Cambridge Analytica. As I noted here on April 3rd, micro-targeting would be gold to a political data mining company like, say, Cambridge Analytica, whose vice president and member of the board is or was Steve Bannon. Cambridge Analytica, up to $5 million of the equity of which is or was owned by Steve Bannon. Cambridge Analytica, which has its headquarters in New York, 8 blocks down from Trump Tower. And learned since March, a major investor in Cambridge Analytica, Robert Mercer, ultra-right-wing billionaire, financier of Breitbart, and major backer of Donald Trump. One theory of this case seems to be that the Russians committed acts of international cyber warfare in order to steal dirt on Hillary Clinton and attempt to steal American voting rolls and every available detail of every key voter in every state. Then they allegedly fed the material back to the Trump campaign and bought the $100,000 worth of targeted advertising on Facebook. And Bannon knew, and Kushner knew, and Mercer knew, and Cambridge Analytica knew, and who knows, maybe at that Trump Tower meeting with the Russian lawyer and Kushner and Paul Manafort and Trump Jr., maybe they all knew too. And thus maybe Donald Trump, when he reportedly wrote Jr.'s cover story about adoptions, maybe he knew. And now, Robert Mueller knows. I will stand by my prediction. We will wake up one of these mornings and Trump will be retweeting another anti-Semite or trying to provoke a deranged foreign leader or whining about somebody on television, and it will all seem nightmarishly normal. And then during the day, there will be a bunch of meetings at the White House that we'll hear about, featuring lawyers and prosecutors suddenly appearing in carload lots. And that night around 6 o'clock, we will suddenly hear that Trump is going to resign the following morning. And people will be surprised. Well, some of them will be. Resist. Remove. Peace.